Today, how to trade when in drawdown. I know nobody watching this. I know you guys aren't here. Nobody's been in drawdown before. I'm not talking about you guys. I know it's not possible, but it happens to me. And I got some practical tips for managing and recovering from drawdowns because one thing I tweeted this morning, what did I tweet this morning? I said trading through drawdown builds a different level of mental perseverance. And that is just absolutely the truth. Trading through drawdown builds a different level of mental perseverance. And I think it honestly builds character. Again, this is one of those things that I think is the most difficult to do in the market. One of the most difficult things to do in the market, which I see this conversation never. I never see a conversation about this. So let's get into it. Understanding drawdown, the definition of it, a drawdown is a decline in the trader's portfolio value, typically from peak to trough. Now, with me, early last month, got out of drawdown, took the account to year highs, and that started to, the business account for Tasty, that started to mess with my mental a little bit. You're saying like that started to, it's like when you're last alive and put it in Call of Duty terms, and you're last alive in search and destroy. And like now the pressure's on. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you can still play well, you can execute well, you got the skills, but the pressure now is a little different. Whatever the case might be. So an example, a 10% drawdown means your account has lost 10% from its peak. So again, a drawdown is the drawdown from the peak of your account. Right. So just to give point of reference, now a key point, drawdowns are a normal part of trading, but how you handle them is crucial for long-term success. Assess your mental state. This is kind of one thing we have to be very cognizant about. Sometimes we start operating in autopilot. This goes with anything through life. And it's funny, everything we talk about today can be applied to different aspects of life as a whole. So assess your mental state. Advice: emotions run high during drawdowns, right? You're going to be a little bit more emotional. And the one thing we do understand about psychology and emotions is the higher the level of emotional state, the more susceptible or the more vulnerable you are to irrational decisions or impulsive decisions, which an impulse decision would be an irrational decision. So that's one thing we need to take note of. Where's our current mental state at? Now, what are some key actions we can take? Take a break to clear your mind. Play some Fortnite, go play some Call of Duty, what do you enjoy in your personal life? Do you enjoy your kids, your family, games? We all kind of have our thing. What would that be for you, T?
My outlet to clear my mind?
I would say for anything, like not even just training, but like just what is an outlet that like kind of makes you feel like, like I'm unwinding?
My mind, and I'd say like working out is one for sure. I don't know, just relaxing. Honestly, hanging out with friends to kind of get off the things is a huge one for me.
Now, a key action we can take. No, I hear you though, T. The gym is fire. The gym is definitely one of the favorites. Now, if you're feeling pressured, step away and reassess when you're calm. That's one of the good things. Whenever you're feeling frustrated, confused, not able to get any type of clarity with what's going on in the market, not able to have any type of conviction, maybe just reassess and come back later whenever you're at more of like a baseline emotional state, and you don't want to be really going up and down through that baseline. Review your strategy, right? Evaluate. Take this with a grain of salt. Identify if your losses are due to the market, execution errors, or strategy flaws. Refine. Ask yourself if you're following your plan or straying off course. That's a really important one, right? We have a lot of statistics on selling premium, right? We understand selling premium and the probabilities that come along with certain things. If we take a loss, does that mean we're just going to switch up everything that we're doing? Does that mean we're going to then just disregard the data that we have? No, that probably wouldn't be the most wise thing to do. So we'll just follow up on our plan, see if we're straying off course. Are we placing trades that we shouldn't place? Are we placing impulsive trades? Are we placing trades outside of our process? Maybe, maybe not, but it's something to take a look at. And something that we can do whenever we look at this is don't abandon your strategy in haste. And we just touched on that, right? Make data-driven adjustments if needed. We don't want to abandon what we're already doing, especially if we have statistics behind it. And if we do want to change anything, let's just make sure that statistics are backing up our decisions and decision-making. So making lots of bread, got to get better flour. I haven't gotten to that stage in my life yet where I'm making bread, but I'm sure I'll get there. Making sourdough.
I have a question for you. So when do you think it's time to abandon a strategy, or not necessarily abandon, but make changes because we know, like you're saying, that it's good to stay consistent, to check it out and make any educated changes if you can. But when is it time to, like, if it's just not working, to move on from that? How do you establish that?
I would say specific strategy.
So you say you are
my
doing
fault. Go ahead.
No, say you're doing like a specific strategy and it's just not working out for you. Like it was working, stopped working. When is it appropriate to make changes to it? Because making changes can be dangerous. It could like throw off your strategy off, and
Yeah.
if you do it too early. So when do you think it's like a good time to?
I would say whenever you have the data to back it up, it really doesn't even matter if, I mean, you really shouldn't be taking like 20 losses in a row. But
Mhm.
like if you take 5 red losses in a row, you still shouldn't switch anything up unless again the data says so. So
Yeah,
I think once you have a certain sample set of, the more the better, but I mean at least I think at least 100 samples is
yeah,
valid. So I think, once the data starts to change,
yeah,
then I think when you should adjust. I don't think it really comes mostly down to like how I feel or I'm getting tired of this. I think it all comes down to the data. That in point blank period. I think it just all comes down to the data. And if you need to adjust and the market's telling you to adjust, then I think you need to adjust a little bit. But I think the answer I'm gonna go with is data. If the data is telling you to adjust and things have changed, then adapt to the market. Things have changed. Good question though. The conclusion, accept that drawdowns are part of the journey. Thinking that there's a way to not, have any red trades, or there's a way to avoid red trades, or there's a way to just avoid drawdowns for that matter in the market is a very naive way of thinking in the market. I think that also shows just a misunderstanding of what the market actually is and what it's made out of. So just accept that drawdowns are a part of the journey. It's going to be a lot easier whenever you're going to be able to just accept loss, accept that this is a part of trading, and stay disciplined, focused, stay patient, and remember the importance of risk management and mental clarity. And I have a little quote down here, which is really important. The road to successful trading is about managing losses, not avoiding them.
yeah,
And this is another kind of ideology I've always taken through life, is like dealing with certain people, dealing with certain things, or whatever it is. Like, for
mhm,
example, I remember Dorita used to talk to me about, some of the people she would have to deal with and this and that, and certain personality types. And ever since I've moved to the city too,
yeah,
I've come across different personality types, narcissistic personality types, like all kinds of different personality types, right? And it's no judgment, it's no direct judgment to anybody, but I think it's interesting
yeah,
because once you meet different types of people in life, you need to learn how to handle and deal with these type of people, because you're going to meet the same type of people or the same type of personalities, but in different people. So it's
yeah,
like once you learn how to deal with certain things, it's not about avoiding these type of people. It's about being able to handle, and
mhm,
it's about able to handle these people, how to handle these type of situations. Because again, it's a very naive thing to think that that's not going to come around again in 5 years from now. You're going to deal with the same type of person, the same type of personality, but a different person.
yeah,
From your experience with the original person, is like take the tools that you learned how to, navigate that situation so that you can then apply it to whenever that situation is needed for those tools again. So it's like, I remember the CEO of Baba had said something like that. He said something like learning how to handle hardship or something like that. It's not about learning how to avoid it, but it's about learning how to deal with it when it happens again next time. And I was like, wow, that's simple, but that's a lot of wisdom.
yeah. That's a
And
very
I didn't even articulate that as clearly as Jack Ma. It was Jack Ma. Wow, big deal. Shout out to you. It is Jack Ma. He said something along those lines. I wish I could, quote him verbatim, but again, it's not about avoiding these things. It's about learning how to handle them when they inevitably come again. And I think it's again a naive way of thinking,
mhm,
that you're not going to come across certain issues or problems or troubles again in your lifetime. And if that's the case, I think life will teach a lesson and show you that that's not the case as time goes on. So that's one thing I try to learn, and it's definitely helpful to listen to other people within industries that are a lot older than you,
yeah,
and you can kind of listen to their guidance, because one thing they have that you don't is experience.
mhm,
And applying that knowledge that you learn from that experience and applying it, that's when it turns into wisdom. So it's like we can learn a lot from anybody that's older than us because they've just been through more life than us.
yeah.
So that's pretty much the conclusion for trading through drawdown.